What's up, everybody? Welcome to Storm Sessions. My name is Danny Enriquez, and I am here with the shortstop for your Miami Hurricanes, Jake Ogden. Jake, how we doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Jake, I know you're a huge hockey fan. Talked to your dad. He said that you'd probably, in your mind, might be a hockey player. How are we feeling about the playoffs here for the Panthers?
Oh, I'm excited. Defend the cup.
You think we're in a good position here? You think we're going to make a little run?
No doubt.
What was it about hockey that you liked?
I think it was just like the way they play, like every day they play 100%. Like you go to a game, it's so fast paced. And I went to a game when I think I was like 12. And ever since then, I just fell in love with it.
Yeah, it's different live, right? You see just how fast it is. No load management like you see in NBA sometimes. Those guys are playing.
Yeah, every night.
It's funny. I talked to your mom, and she said, I asked, well, how do you describe Jake? Just some things about him. And she said, every time we saw him play, he was the funnest guy to watch because he'd go 110%. He'd be crashing into walls and all that. So is that something that you've always kind of put in your game as far as your effort level?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, giving 110% is the minimum for me.
Now, you're from Homestead. So those who don't know, Homestead, Miami-Dade County, but that's a little more rural, right? Wide open spaces, kind of fishing, baseball. Those are the kind of things that are going on. Tell me about growing up in Homestead.
Yeah, I mean, my dad, we'd go out on the boat all the time with him, me and my brothers and my dad, and go out there and spend hours out there on the boat fishing. So,
what was your favorite type of fishing?
Probably yellowtailing, actually. We go yellowtailing at night sometimes, and being out in the water at night was pretty cool.
So just pull up the little ones. I saw you with the big giant cobias. I know that was a lot of work. So you'd rather just get the action, just pulling them up, right? The yellowtails.
Yeah, nonstop.
So your brother, you got two brothers. Brother Michael, right? Michael was a really good baseball player from what I understand. What was it like growing up with somebody that was kind of pushing you to be competitive?
Yeah, I think my brothers helped me out a lot. I'm the youngest one, and learning from them was huge for me, and always like seeing what he did and being able to not make the same mistakes as him was huge.
So being a little guy, I'm sure you're probably playing on teams where you're the youngest guy in the totem pole. Maybe you're playing with the boys just kind of in the backyard. Is that where you got that positional versatility? Because you're a guy that can play anywhere. Is that where it started?
Yeah, I mean, I always played out with my brother. And when you're 2 years younger than everybody else on the team, you just gets put out there somewhere. So
when did you first kind of realize, hey, baseball is kind of my thing. This is what I want to pursue. This is what I like to do.
Probably from when I started playing. T-ball, I guess.
What did you like about it?
Just the everyday, like showing up and just having fun. My brothers playing in the backyard. It's just fun.
Do you remember like a moment or just a time period where you're like, man, not only do I like doing this, but hey, I'm pretty good at this. This is something that if I work towards, it can be something for me.
Yeah, definitely like in high school. So like I said, I always learned from my brother. He was always a little undersized. And I made that a point to not be undersized. And so I put on some weight and I started, hitting the ball and I started going somewhere. And then at that point I realized like, man, I can do this,
Yeah, for sure. In terms of just like growing up, were you always the man on your teams? Or was because I know when you got older, we'll get through it. You were overlooked. At first, were you like kind of the guy? What was it like being a kid?
I would say I was never the guy. I was kind of always the guy that could do a little bit of everything, but never the guy. No. So
you go to high school, Coral Reef, right? First year state championship, right? So obviously you're kind of paying your dues there. But as you're playing well, did you feel like maybe you should be getting a little more attention from D1 schools at that time?
Yeah, I felt like I should have, but at the same time, I mean, it always pushed me because I wasn't getting the attention. So, yeah, I felt like I should have, but in the end, I think it helped me become the player I am.
So you're at Coral Reef. Any memories, just high school, like a game, a moment? I know you pitched a little bit too. Like, was a moment that you're like, man, I'm going to be old reliving that moment?
There's so many moments. I mean, playing with my brother when I was younger, and then as I got older, being there for all 4 years, and there's so many moments. I wouldn't say I can pick one.
Were you going to any Miami games at the time, Hurricanes? I know that baseball schedule is hellacious. You're traveling all the time, not only working to play, but just playing games, playing tournaments. Were you able to get down to the light at all?
Yeah, I remember after my senior year just ended, I think they were in the regional. And I think it was the the day it rained. It started at like 10 o'clock at night. I remember sitting out there the whole time just waiting for the game to start.
And what was your feeling of just as far as the light and the team when you were still a fan, before obviously you were a player? What was that like?
I mean, I always thought it would be super cool to play here and be a part of this and the fans, you know. And now that I'm here, it's just like almost surreal.
And it wasn't like a straight shot, right? We talked about it a little earlier. So you're balling, you're producing, but D1 schools not necessarily recognizing your ability. End up going to Barry, right? Top D2 school. What was that process like for you?
Barry was my only like option out of high school. So I went to Barry, and I would say like now that I felt like that was the only place that I belonged. Like that was for me, that was my only place. So I kind of felt like I fit there. And I, got better, had a good year, and continued to play, and then ended up,
Well, let's to Barry. You're one of the best players out there, like kind of immediately from what I understand, and you start getting attention. You've talked about the chip on your shoulder, but did you go in there with that attitude, like, I know I'm a D1 player, and I'm going to show everybody what I can do?
I get asked this question a lot, and no, I didn't. Like I just said, like I kind of felt like that was where I fit. So, I mean, I wouldn't say I kind of thought I should have been somewhere else. I just thought that's where I belonged, and I'm going to play my best every day.
Same attitude you had, right, the whole time. So you produce a ton. You're one of the best freshmen around at that level. You then go to South Carolina, right, for
Carolina.
Or North Carolina. Okay.
Oh, South Carolina.
For summer ball. Yep. And then get recognized by UNC Greensboro. So tell me about that process.
Yeah, so I was playing in Florence. I had a pretty good summer. First time being away from home, on my own. And Greensboro came out. They saw me. They liked me. And it all ended up working out. So decided to go there.
You mentioned being away from home. What's that like? Because, I mean, most people don't experience a summer ball. Maybe they go to summer camp, but they don't do anything like that. So what was that like, the summer ball experience for you first time out?
Yeah, it's definitely different. It was a lot more to myself. You don't really have anybody there. Like, you should have a bad game. You're on your own. So I was definitely figuring out who I am and, what it's like to be alone.
What did you learn about yourself there?
That you have to show up every day, and that you can't let one game affect the next. And, yeah, you just got to keep going.
How important is that as a baseball player, just to have that short memory?
Oh, it's huge. You want to, when you're doing well, you want to stretch it as long as you can. And when you're struggling, you want to get out of it as soon as you can.
So what's the, like, how do you just get through that? Let's say you play a game, you got a game coming the next day. What's your mentality in that time in between, just to make sure, hey, listen, I might have gone 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts, but I'm not going to let that impact the next day?
It's just a short memory. You forget about the day once it's over.
So you go to South Carolina, you're playing ball, UNC Greensboro recognizes you. Now you're officially a D1 player, right? Talk about that transition to that level and UNC Greensboro.
Yeah, I thought it would be a lot different. Like, I was like, oh, D1, like, it's going to be a lot tougher. But then I quickly realized that it's the same game. And if you show up every day and you play the way you're supposed to play, like, you're going to be fine.
So now you're playing the summer again, but you're not playing in South Carolina. You're playing at the Cape, the highest level of college baseball, prospects. You're around the best of the best. What was that like, being around the absolute best players in the country?
Yeah, it was a super cool opportunity. Definitely you can learn a lot from those guys because they've had success at the highest of levels. And knowing that, you're like, okay, what do they do that helps them? And you pick up little things and you figure out what works for you and add it to your game. What's
something you picked up out there baseball-wise?
On a lot of things. Danny Dickinson was one of my close friends up there. I just learned a lot about his mentality and how he approaches the game every day and his routines and things like that.
And is that something that you've tried to bring to Miami as far as like doing the same thing kind of every day?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, what works for him, and it ended up helping me out, so now I could spread that to the guys here.
What was that Cape experience like? Because that's a whole different thing. You're the host family, right? You're up there, pretty nice part of the country that time of year. What was that experience like off the field?
That's a super nice area. I would definitely go back up there and just to spend the summer there if I could. So it was cool. The host family was awesome. Still talk to them all the time.
Did you get a line in the water out there or no?
No, I did not. No, my host family weren't big fishers, so
It's not quite the Florida Keys up there
no.
in terms of what you're dealing with. So kind of going full circle. This has really been the story of your career, right? People don't think you can do this and that, and you keep proving people wrong. Now, University of Miami sees what you've done. You've produced at the D1 level. What was that process of kind of seeing you and identifying you and re-engaging with you?
Well, yeah, it was important for me to come home. So where my family, like my dad, he tried to see me as much as I can when I was in North Carolina and up in the Cape. He came a couple times, but now he's he comes to every game at everything he could be a part of, and so that was kind of like the finishing line for me.
Yeah. So you come down. Did you take a visit before you committed, or you committed right away?
No, right away.
Right away.
We're still playing up there.
So when was the first time you kind of got in, had your uniform, and just saw what the whole thing was going to be like?
Yeah, at the end of summer, I came down right before school started, and walked into the locker room, had my name on the locker and all that. And
was it everything you thought it would be as far as being a player?
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty cool, seeing the logo next to my name.
One thing, again, we keep talking about you exceeding expectations. Even when you got to UM, I remember when you signed, everybody was saying he's going to be a great hitter and he's going to be a defensive guy that you plug in, maybe third base if Cuvier's out, maybe first base. Shortstop was not necessarily something that was at the top of the list. But then you play there, and there were some people that said, hey, I don't know if he can handle being a shortstop at the ACC level. Was that just like another set of doubts on you that motivated you?
No doubt. I've heard so many things throughout my career. Oh, he can't do this, he can't do that. So just another one to the list.
And what was that process like of getting, because look, it is hard. It's hard to play shortstop at any level, but to play shortstop at the ACC levels, not easy. Not that many people are capable of doing it. What was the process like to get ready to play that position at that level?
Reps. Trying to get as many reps as I could. Practice there all the time. Extra reps after, and just getting comfortable with the angles and stuff, seeing the ball come off the bat from that angle as opposed to third. So,
I saw you in fall, and you made some great plays, but there were times that you could tell you were learning the position. It wasn't like what we see now here on the ACC fields as we sit here today. So was there a moment where you had a bad day and you're like, man, this is going to be tough?
Yeah, there's moments. I never thought I couldn't do it, but there were definitely moments I was like, this is different.
First couple of weeks, home series, you're making like web gems. I think I saw you on like the ACC account. Like it was getting, these were defensive plays at shortstop. They were going a little viral. What was that like, kind of having, you have confidence, you worked at it, but now seeing, hey man, not only can I make the routine plays, but I can make some real plays.
Yeah, I pride myself in my defense. So being able to make those plays just proved, I think to everyone else that I could do it. But I knew I could do it from the beginning.
And just playing at that ACC level, man, what was it like, some of the beasts you're going against? Jamie Arnold, you're talking about a guy for FSU, projected #1 pick, and you guys were able to get to him. Seeing that level of competition, is that something that you had to mentally adjust to, or you're like, man, this is just baseball, I've been good at it my whole life?
Just baseball. You hear the names, you see the stuff online and all that, but once you get onto that field, whoever it is on the mound, they still got to throw the ball over the plate, and you still got to hit it.
Talking to members from your team, we had Max in here, Griffin Hughes, Nick Robert, a lot of guys that were kind of overlooked, right? Like yourself. Even Daniel Cuvier, he wasn't overlooked, but he kind of carries himself with that chip on his shoulder. Is that something you see with this team, that guys are just motivated, I don't know, to prove people wrong, prove other people right, but just to show what they can do? And that,
yeah, that's definitely like part of the identity of our team. We have all those guys that you named. That's the way they carry themselves every day. And when you get a group of a lot of those guys, it wears off on the other guys.
And what's it like with this team? You have some South Florida guys, but those guys from all over the country here, guys that have been around. They're not just fresh out of high school. A lot of them, they've been in other places like yourself. What's the just atmosphere of the team?
Yeah, you got a lot of different characters. Guys that have been through different things and seen different things. But when you bring them all together in the right way, it makes a team, who they are.
And I know you've had some great moments at home. with your family in the stands. Anything stand out so far? I know, look, the story's still being written, so hopefully the best moments are yet to come. But it's just in terms of this season so far that you're like, man, that was awesome. I'm glad my family got to see that.
I just, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nothing comes to mind.
Too many to list.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have a good season. Just in terms of like your goals, right? Well, I know your team goals, obviously. We don't have to go over that. It's University of Miami. I know you guys are hyper competitive. You want to get in that ACC tournament, win that, obviously get into a regional and take it from there. But in terms of just like big picture goals for yourself in baseball, where do you see yourself?
I want to play professional baseball at the highest level. And I think the way I'm able to do that is take it one day at a time and focus on the team goals. So I don't like to think too far ahead, but yeah, I see myself playing at the professional level.
How old were you when that kind of came into your head that, hey, what I'm seeing on TV, I could do that?
At a young age, I always told my brother that I would be a professional player, and he always told me, "Oh, no, you won't. No, you won't." And I'll never forget. He doesn't even remember the story, but I told him that when I was about 12. So
has he acknowledged that, hey, maybe you got a chance?
Yeah, he does now. He has now.
Well, I'm glad he came around. Outside of baseball, we talked about fishing, hockey. Anything you like to do to just relax and unwind, or are you just baseball all the time and school?
I would say not just baseball, it's sports. It's when I go back home, I turn the TV on and put whatever game it is on that night. So that's what I like to do.
Pickleball, anything like that?
Pickleball, yeah, competitive. I always love competing.
Who's the best pickleball players on the team and the family with the guys you compete with? Are you the top dog, or are you guys people you're chasing?
That's debatable. Cuvée thinks he's the best. I wouldn't say he's the best, but
he's got that highlight background. It's kind of like similar, I guess, a little bit. So we talk to athletes all the time, and they see your home runs, right? They see your defensive plays, and they don't see the hard times when you're just pushing through maybe an injury that people don't know about, or you're just having to wake up for a workout. I know you guys got some hellacious strength and conditioning going on right now. What is it that drives you when it's not easy and you have to really kind of convince yourself to get there on time and do that extra workout?
It's all those people that say, oh, he can't do this, he can't do that. You wake up in the morning and you don't want to go work out. And then you remember that people have said, oh, he can't do this. And this will motivate you to go in there and do it.
So after your major league career is done, what do you see yourself doing? Do you see yourself in baseball? Do you see yourself doing something else? Where do you see yourself after professional baseball?
In baseball, probably coaching, some form of scouting, coaching, something like that.
And what is it about, I know you like playing the game, obviously, but what is it about the game itself that even if you're not playing, you want to be a part of it?
It's the competitiveness, but also the everyday wear. Like baseball, I feel like it's a sport that's meant to be played every day. And that's why it takes a mental toll on you. And if you can overcome that, then you can be really good. So
you like the challenge. You like not only playing every day, but having to be 110% effort every day. That's something that usually people say that's what they don't like. That's something you run towards.
Yeah, I love it.
Why is that?
That's just in me. It's instilled in me. From a young age, it's just always been me.
So you don't remember being any other way. It was always just like,
yep.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So we got some fan questions here. Question from Ellie2413 to what we were just talking about. Wants to know, how much do you train and for how long? Let's say just your average day. Let's call it the off season.
Off season, hour and a half. With strength, running, all that.
And then like during the season, let's say camp. What's a camp day look like, putting the school aside, just in terms of like how much time you guys are spending at the facility and working to?
In the season, you said?
Let's say camp. Let's say getting ready to play.
Oh, getting ready to play? 6 hours.
Wow.
All day.
That's great. And then on top of that, you got school, right? So that's the thing people don't understand about the student athletes is this is not just the game. You don't just show up there and say, hey, I'm ready to be awesome. It's a lot of work, right?
You have to take care of school.
And how are you liking just school, the environment? Homestead, Miami, people who are from Miami know, look, Miami is a big place. Homestead is a lot different than Coral Gables and University of Miami. So how are you enjoying just being here on campus in that whole environment?
Yeah, it's cool. It's a lot more college. You know, you got college students. You got a lot more to do around here than you do in Homestead. So it's cool.
Question from Irish Cuban baller wants to know, how do you work on your mental game in baseball?
That's a good question. How do you work on it? It's hard to work on it. It's more of like, how do you deal with it? And if you deal with it the right way, I think it gets better.
And what's in terms of dealing with it? We talked about some of the stuff, just in terms of the daily effort, pushing through, and short memory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you deal with, let's say, not even just a bad game, but just the kind of the external stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? People, like I said, I mentioned earlier, people, hey, Jake can't play shortstop or whatever you've heard. Jake's a good D2 player. He's not going to translate to D1, or he's not going to translate to ACC.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that?
Just ignore it. Put your head down, ignore it, and go about your business.
Question from Josh Krulik. Besides the light, what is your favorite place to play?
Oof. This year, Florida was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you probably shouldn't say that. It wasn't that cool. But, yeah, a lot of places.
Do you like being on the road when they're booing you and it's kind of like you feel the negative energy going to you?
Yeah, that's pretty cool sometimes. But it's also cool being at home and, you hit home run and everybody's cheering for you.
Well, listen, you're from Miami-Dade County, so you probably heard crazier stuff playing youth ball and you do it in the SEC crowds, right?
Definitely.
What were some of the craziest things you saw? You don't say any names, but some of the craziest things you saw just growing up playing youth baseball.
I saw fights. I saw cops. Yeah, all of it.
Did your dad ever throw down, or was
No, my dad, no. He would get into it a little bit, but not to the extreme that I've seen.
Just verbally, no fist being thrown.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't get in trouble there. All right, G Cruz 305 wants to know if you have a nickname.
Nickname? Augie.
Augie.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I've heard that one. So Jake, man, listen, really appreciate you. I know the fans really appreciate, watching you play, taking their kids to see kind of the effort that you put in every single game. So again, thanks for being part of the Canes. And if you are not following Storm Sessions, remember to like and subscribe to the show, Canes All Access. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find them. Jake, man, good luck this season.
Thank you.